Hey everybody, today we're doing the Beatles 65 from the Beatles. There we go. There's the good look at the back I'll give you. 11 songs, 26 minutes and 10 seconds. And I see the disc tried to fall out here. This is one of those Beatles records that looks like a record. Looks like a black vinyl. You can see there's there's scratches on this. This is heavily worn. I've listened to this a lot over the years. This is one I come back to. Okay, 11 songs, 26 minutes, 10 seconds. Or if you have this version, you'll notice here that there are 22 songs because the first 11 are the stereo or duophonic tracks, and then the second 11 are the mono tracks. Honestly, I forgot to dig. I usually like to look at what they did between the stereo and the mono. I honestly didn't look at it. I was just enjoying listening to it so much that I didn't get into it, but it was controversial because the record company in the UK, they did not necessarily send over all the masters to Capitol Records. So that's how things got so screwed up. All right, this was released on December 15th, 1964, which is misleading. But December 15th, 1964, right in time for the holidays, and it's titled Beatles 65, as always produced by George Martin. This is basically the U.S. release of Beatles for Sale. The first 7 songs match Beatles for Sale track by track, and then 8 songs from Beatles for Sale from Beatles 65. 8 tracks from Beatles 65 were on Beatles for Sale. Does that make sense? Okay, so 8 tracks total. Now, it's the tracks 1 through 7. I'll Be Back is on A Hard Day's Night in the UK. And then She's a Woman is the B-side to I Feel Fine. And then I Feel Fine is track 10. So those are the 3 that are not for Beatles for Sale. So they just pulled them in for no reason. Okay. Beatles 65. Beatles for Sale, the UK version, followed a busy 1964 in which the Beatles toured America. They made a movie, they toured, they were constantly touring, and then they made this record in Beatles for Sale. And so what would happen to you? The Beatles were burning out. You would burn out. I would burn out. It was like an intense workload on the Beatles. And this album is the first sign of trouble for the Beatles. You can hear it in the songs, and you can hear it in the wind themes of the songs. Okay, they're struggling. They're making all their commitments, and they're writing good songs, but you can hear just in the themes that things aren't necessarily going so well. We'll talk about that in the individual songs. The album cover has 3 black umbrellas, and I think, is that John Lennon? I don't know who that is. That's Ringo. I think that's Ringo holding the red umbrella there. And then the bottom left picture, you got Ringo sitting, and what are they holding? Slinkies or something? I don't know. And then the center picture, I think that's George sitting, and he's got an umbrella. And then in this picture, the bottom right, somebody's holding a basket. I don't know who that is. Is that John or Ringo? I don't know. It's not like I can't tell them apart. Like, if you look at this, I know the Beatles, right? So that it's easy to tell apart. That's Paul, that's John, that's George, and that's Ringo right there. But this is it's like so zoomed out that I have a hard time identifying who's who. Okay. What does it sound like? It sounds like the Beatles. It sounds like an early Beatles record, and all the other ones from 1964. And they haven't gotten too crazy yet with the psychedelic stuff or the experimentation, which will be in the 1965 albums. Can't wait to get into those because there's a lot of experimentation, and there's just a lot of craziness going on in Beatles records, especially 65, later in 65, and then 66. They really get moving. All right, let's get into the review, shall we? The first track is No Reply, 2 minutes and 51 seconds, It's Lennon and McCartney song, credited to Lennon and McCartney, and the lead vocals are by John Lennon. It's in the key of C major, and it's in 4/4 time, and it's 124 beats per minute. Now this is one of those songs. Let me see here. I like to look at this. I bought this book just so I could do this. Yeah, No Reply is in this book, but a lot of these songs weren't, especially like the covers. The covers aren't in this book, and some of the, I would say, not so popular Beatles tracks are not in this book, but a lot of them were, and the ones that weren't, I just had to dig. I had to dig or count, and that, it's fine. So C major, 4/4 time, and 124 beats per minute. The verse is 16 bars, and that's John Lennon singing, "This happened once before when I came to your door, no reply." So he's, and the bridge is 16 bars, and he's singing, "If I were you, I'd realize that I love you more than any other guy." So the theme of this song, by the way, this is the best song on the album. It's probably my favorite song on the album. It just gets the album off to a great start. It's a nice zippy song. But John is singing about essentially getting shut down by women. That's what I think. It's a pretty dark topic for the Beatles, don't you think? It's a AABA. So what I mean by that, it's a verse, bridge, verse, outro. So very, very simple song structure, and they're still mimicking and following their idols from the 50s, the Beatles. Okay, track 2 is "I'm a Loser," 2 minutes and 31 seconds. It's a Lennon McCartney and lead vocals by John, and of course, when John's on lead vocals, these are John songs. And it's just another dark song, "I'm a Loser." Key of G major, 89 beats per minute, and 4/4 time. And the intro was a quick 6 bars. He's singing "I'm a Loser." The verse is 16 bars. "What have I done to deserve such a fate? I realize I've left it too late." It's just a nice, cool jingle to it. And then the chorus is 8 bars. "I'm a loser and I lost someone who's dear to me. I'm a loser. I'm not what I appear to be." I mean, it's just a really dark, for the Beatles. I mean, it's not dark for Danzig or for Black Sabbath or for even Alice in Chains, but for the Beatles, yeah, this is dark. It's about as dark as they get in the 60s, or in 64. The guitar solo is 8 bars, and it's just really twangy. I've got to believe that's George Harrison. It sure sounds like him. And then a harmonica solo right after that is 8 bars. Okay, and I'm thinking, I looked it up, but I didn't jot it down, but I think that is John Lennon playing the harmonica. The song structure is an intro, and then verse, chorus, the harmonica solo, and then the guitar solos, and then the verse, chorus, and that's the song. So this is not an AABA song. It breaks the structure. Track 3 is "Babies in Black," 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Another John Lennon song, credited to Lennon McCartney. It's in the key of G major again, and it's in 6/8, triplet. So, or you can count it 1, 2, 1, 2, or triplet. That's how we were taught in band. Or if you want to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's harder to count, but that's essentially 6/8 notes per measure or per bar. 102 beats per minute. The chorus is 12 bars. "Oh dear, what can I do? Baby's in black and I'm feeling blue." Now, why is she in black? Someone die? Or is that just a metaphor for she's in a dark mood? Or, I'm wearing black. Am I in a bad mood? I don't know. Maybe I am. It's a Monday after all. The verse is 16 bars. "She thinks of him, and so she dresses in black. And though she dresses in black." Okay, and then the bridge is really short. It's, "Oh, how long will it take till she sees the mistake she has made?" I think that's 4 bars if you count it 1, 2, 1, 2. The guitar solo is just real short and twangy. And then the song structure, again, it's more similar to the second song. It's a chorus, verse, and then a bridge. Chorus, guitar solo, bridge, chorus, verse, chorus, outro. This, for the Beatles, is about as complex a song structure as you'll get. It's not Yes, Close to the Edge, or And You and I, or something with just a lot of different sections, like a suite. But it does have it's a chorus, verse, chorus, and then the bridge. So you're incorporating all kinds of different song elements into it. Track 4 is Rock and Roll Music, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. It's a Chuck Berry song, so the Beatles are covering it, and it's being sung by John Lennon. I'm going to break down the differences. The Chuck Berry version is in the key of E flat, and it's 166 beats per minute, and it's 4/4 time. I got the by looking. I Googled it, and I was able to find the sheet music. The Beatles version is in the key of A major. So what the Beatles did was they lifted it up 7 steps, which is a lot. So it's a huge difference going from E flat to A major. And then it's about the same tempo, 167 beats per minute. It's a 4/4 time. The chorus is 12 bars. Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music. And the verse is 8 bars. I've got no kick against modern jazz. I like the verses a lot. And then there's no guitar solo, which is unusual, right? Because it's a Chuck Berry song, so you'd think there'd be a guitar solo in there, but there isn't. I like this song. I like the Beatles version. Honestly, I like the Chuck Berry version better. I listened to them both last week. And I was just listening to this about an hour ago. And I like the Beatles version. I just like the Chuck Berry version better. Okay. From the Beatles website, I want to read this to you. From the Beatles Bible website. On Rock and Roll Music, there was a spare track left on the tape, so it was filled with a piano part. This featured John Lennon, Paul McCartney, and George Martin all playing a Steinway grand piano in Studio 2 of Abbey Road in an attempt to replicate the original piano part performed by Johnny Johnson. And if you listen to the jingle, it's really, it's going hot and heavy on the piano. But it took all 3 of them to do what one guy could do on the Chuck Berry version. It's a chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, and that's the song. No guitar solo. Rock and roll music. Track 5, I'll Follow the Sun, 1 minute 46 seconds. It's a Lennon-McCartney song and lead vocals by Paul McCartney, which suggests that Paul wrote it. It's in the key of C major, 4/4 time, and 134 beats per minute. The verse is 7 bars. That's what they did to make it work. One day you'll look to see I've gone. That's kind of how the jingle of the song goes. The bridge is 8 bars, and it's It's just real short. And now the time has come, and so my love, I must go. It's a Paul McCartney. Honestly, it's not much to get excited about. The guitar solo is very short. It's 4 bars, and he's just, I guess that's George Harrison just playing the main riff. It's very quick. The refrain is 4 bars. Yeah, tomorrow will rain, so I'll follow the sun. When I was listening to this song, my wife walked into the room and said, I hate this song. I mean, honestly, I don't like it either. It's just that pussy bullshit Paul McCartney shit. It's not a great song. I think I read somewhere that George Martin said this was his favorite track on the album. I mean, to each your own, whatever. Everybody likes what they like, right? Let's just leave it at that. It's a verse, bridge, verse, guitar solo, the refrain that I mentioned, and then the bridge, and then a verse. So we're going back to that AABA song structure. Track 6 is Mr. Moonlight, 2 minutes and 35 seconds. It's a tune written by a man called Roy Lee Johnson. And in 1962, the band Dr. Feelgood and the Interns, it was on their album. Lead vocals by John Lennon. Now, let me tell you what I do for you guys. I tracked down the Dr. Feelgood version, okay? It's in the key of D major, and it's 111 beats per minute, and I listen to it. The Beatles version is in the key of F major. So F major, it has a B flat in the key signature, so 1 flat is F major. The Beatles moved it up 3 steps, okay? So the Dr. Feelgood version, D major, the Beatles cranked it up, which is what they like to do. And the verse is 24 bars, very long. It's 128 beats per minute at 4/4 time. Look, before I get into it, I listened to both versions, and I like the Dr. Feelgood version better. But except for the key change, the Beatles version is very faithful to the Dr. Feelgood version. It's rare when I prefer the original to a Beatles, but when it comes to rock and roll music and Mr. Moonlight, I like the originals better. By the way, I'll post the YouTube videos to these 2 tracks. Okay, you can judge for yourself. Listen to them both. The verse is 24 bars, as I mentioned. That's the first verse. The second verse is much shorter. But he's singing, "You came to me one summer night." It's got a real deadpan, like real monotone. That's the verse. And then the organ solo is 8 bars. It's Paul McCartney on Hammond organ. I think he's playing the Hammond organ. You can hear it underneath the singing, but I think he's also playing the organ solo. Paul McCartney is. The refrain is 8 bars, and it's just, "And the night you don't come my way, oh, I'll pray and pray more each day, because I love you." Okay. That's the song. It's an intro, verse, the organ solo, sort of acting as a bridge, I guess, and then the refrain and the verse, and that's the song. So it's more like an AABA song structure. Mr. Moonlight. It's not bad. Track 7 is Honey Don't, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. This is a Carl Perkins tune, who is like a country artist. Lead vocal by Ringo Starr. Now, the Carl Perkins version, you're welcome, is in the key of E major, 87 beats per minute, and in 4/4 time. The Beatles version, same key. At least it sure sounds the same. So it's very faithful, about the same tempo and 4/4 time signature. Again, I like the Carl Perkins version better. I'll post the link. You can judge for yourself. The verse is 12 bars. "Well, how come you say you will when you won't? Say you do, baby, when you don't." The chorus is 12 bars, but well, honey, don't. And it's just Ringo singing. There's no background, at least not that I can tell. It just sounds like pure Ringo. The guitar solo, it's funny because Ringo goes, "Rock on, George," and then the guitar solo starts. But it's not like a heavy rock guitar solo. George is playing for 8 bars, just this real country, twangy, and also just the lead guitar line is just a real country. It's a real country song, you know. The Beatles were really into it. They like some country music. It's a verse, chorus, guitar solo. And then the verse, chorus, guitar solo, outro. That's the arrangement of the track. Honey Don't. Track 8 is I'll Be Back, 2 minutes and 22 seconds. It's credited to Lennon McCartney. Lead vocals by John Lennon. And that suggests it's a John Lennon song. And it's from the album A Hard Day's Night from the UK. I probably should have watched the movie, or I don't know if it was in the movie. It's in the key of A major, and it's 123 beats per minute and 4/4 time. The verse is, You know, if you break my heart, I'll go, but I'll be back again. It's 12 bars. And then the bridge is 8 bars. But the last bar is in 2/4 time. So it's in 7 bars of 4/4, and then they cut short the last bar. I love you so. I'm the one that wants you. Yes, I'm the one. That's the bridge. It's a verse, bridge, verse, bridge, verse, bridge, outro. I'll be back. These Beatles albums are long, aren't they? Track 9 is She's a Woman, 2 minutes and 57 seconds, credited to Lennon McCartney, and lead vocals by Paul. It's an AABA form. This is a better song from Paul. It's much better than I'll Follow the Sun. It's in the key of A major, and it's 89 beats per minute, and it's in 4/4 time. The verse is, my love don't give me presents. Paul McCartney. 24 bars. And in the bridge, she's a woman who understands. He sings that for 4 bars. Genius says the bridge is in E major, so the bridge is a key change. And then back to A major, I would imagine, for the guitar solo. It's a Paul McCartney song. Verse, verse, bridge, verse, guitar solo, bridge, verse, outro. So AAB form, as I mentioned at the front. But honestly, I used to think I was a Paul McCartney person, but I'm really not. I think generally more often than not, his songs, they kind of wear on me. Track 10 is I Feel Fine, 2 minutes, 22 seconds. Credited to Lennon McCartney, lead vocals by John Lennon. According to Paul McCartney, this is the first song ever to have guitar feedback, ever. I think I got that from the Wikipedia page for I Feel Fine. But, you know, at the beginning, there's that when it starts. I think that's what he's talking about. It's in the key of C major, and it's 178 beats per minute, so really fast tempo and 4/4 time. The verse is 6 bars. Baby's good to me, you know she's happy as can be. You know she said so. Do 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 do. The refrain is she's in love with me and I feel fine. It's just 4 bars. Honestly, you could probably just say that's part of the verse. That would make it a 10-bar verse, but I guess that makes sense, right? The bridge is I'm so glad she's my little girl. 8 bars. I'm so glad that she's my little girl. She's telling all the world, okay? And then there's a guitar solo. It's a verse, refrain, bridge, verse, refrain, guitar solo, verse, refrain, bridge, verse, refrain. I guess to me that's more like an AABA song. Track 11 is Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. This is a George Harrison sung song written by Carl Perkins. So a lot of covers. The Carl Perkins version is in the key of F major. At least that's what the internet says. I couldn't find the sheet music, but we'll trust the internet. It's 180 beats per minute and in 4/4 time. For the Beatles version, they lifted it up 2 steps to key of E major. And if I'm right about the F major, then the Beatles took it up, right? I might be wrong. I could be wrong, but let's just go with it. 176 beats per minute is a tad slower than the Carl Perkins version, and it's in 4/4 time. They're about the same. I guess I like the Carl Perkins version better. It seemed a little happier. It's not the best song. It might be the worst song on the album. Nah, I'll Follow the Sun is the worst song. Everybody's Trying to Be My Baby. The verse is 4 bars. Well, they took some honey from a tree, dressed it up, and called it me. And then everybody's trying to be my baby. Everybody's trying to be my baby. Everybody's trying to be my baby. The chorus is 8 bars, and that verse is really fast at 4 bars. So it's just a fast-moving tune. And to stretch it out to 2:24, they had to throw in guitar solos and some other stuff. The guitar solo is 8 bars. So it's like a verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And then throw in the guitar solo somewhere. That's the song. Everybody's trying to be my baby. 2 minutes, 24 seconds. In summary, this is one of the better Beatles albums. To me, it's one of my favorites. It's definitely my favorite from 1964 or 1965 era. I just like it. I listened to it a lot in 2004, 2005. I mean, I wore out the CD. I listen to it now occasionally, just if I want to listen to a Beatles album, this is probably the one I'll reach to. This one or probably Abbey Road or gosh, I really like Let It Be Naked. Those are probably my top 3. 6 songs from this have that 50s A-A-B-A song structure, the verse, verse, bridge, verse. The rest of the songs have that verse-chorus model, and then you have that one song I mentioned that's the complex arrangement that has a verse, bridge, and chorus. That's pretty daring for the Beatles back then, honestly. This is pretty much the U.S. release of Beatles for Sale. I know it's not very popular among Beatles fans. Beatles fans will probably say they like Rubber Soul better than Beatles for Sale. The opposite. I recognize I'm different, but I like this one a lot. I like it more than Rubber Soul. The first 7 songs match Beatles for Sale track for track, and so it's basically Beatles for Sale, but they twist it up as they always did with Capitol Records. And 8 songs from Beatles for Sale are on this. So the first 7 songs and then an 8th song. And I forgot to look up the sales. Let's check real quick, shall we? Well, Beatles 65 sold a ton. I mean, Wikipedia says it sold 3 million. Think about 1964 and releasing it right before Christmas and probably right in the middle or right in front of oh God, I'm having a moment. It sucks getting old, but 3 million sales is a lot. Hanukkah is the word I'm looking for. It was probably released right before. I could check the calendar, but man, they sold a lot. Allmusic.com gives it a low score of 3.5 stars. No way. To me, this is a 5-star album. I mean, if there's an early Beatles album from 64, 65 that's worthy of 5 stars, it's this one. It should be at least 4.5 stars. Let's see, the Encyclopedia of Popular Music. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page. They gave it 3 stars. That's way too low. The Rolling Stone Record Guide gave it 5 stars. That's more in line. I mean, I think it's just excellent. Your mileage may vary. And that is the Beatles 65 review. Thanks a lot, folks. I've got, as you guys know, I've got a bunch of albums planned to do reviews. A bunch of Pink Floyd, Beatles, Led Zeppelin, King Crimson, and Yes. So stay tuned. I'm going to try to get out another one later this week. And I think it's going to be Pink Floyd more. I don't know. I got to go back and look at my schedule. I think more is next. I think that's the one. I'm out. Thank you. Thanks for listening.